My peeps, my peeps, my peeps. Hope y'all doing good. It's your host, Mr. KG. I'm back with a new episode. Been in the book, been working on it. Happy to have landed her, an amazing up and coming influencer. Doing a lot of things. Have a lot to talk about her background, journey to where she at right now. Things of that nature. Yes, I give her a hint. It's a she, but not gonna tell you who she is. Um, Stay tuned and then let's figure that out. All right. Um, and I promise it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a long one. I hope you have snacks. I hope you relax. You did whatever you needed to do. Let's get into this one.
Awesome.
All right. So thank you for being here,
Thanks
Taylor.
for having me. I really appreciate it.
Um, so I do things a little differently where usually you would have people just like introducing people and kind of like telling mm, the audience like what you're about. I
Yeah.
like to give the power to you and take it wherever you want to take it.
hmm
So my first question is really simple. So who are you? Where are you from?
Yeah.
And then let's go from there.
Well, first off, I just want to say thanks, Yannick, for having me. I really appreciate it and inviting me on your platform to
Well,
share my journey. My name is Taylor Mutua, and I'm an influencer that's passionate about wellness, personal growth, lifestyle content as well too. I'm originally from Burnsville, Minnesota. And I recently moved to Dallas last May. So I'm coming up on a year here. And yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me.
that's awesome. It's really, really awesome.
Thank you.
Um, wow. Talking about moving from Minnesota to Dallas.
Yes, yes. I have lived in Minnesota, born and raised my entire life. I lived in Iowa for a year for college, but I don't feel like that really, it's pretty much Minnesota. It doesn't
Yeah.
count. So,
Okay.
yeah, I just decided last year, well, actually, no, June of 2023, I came to visit Dallas for my 29th birthday and
Mm.
loved it. I have a core group of girlfriends that moved from Minneapolis to Dallas. And then had a really good time. But I was like, oh, maybe it's just the birthday weekend, right? And just like the excitement from that. And then came again in September and again, really just enjoyed the people. There's so much to do here. And then came back again in October, but I stayed for a week to just really see like what a full work week would look like in Dallas. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give myself 9 months to a year. And then um, talked with my work and got it approved and transferred to the Dallas market and moved. So, yeah.
Um, Culture shock, maybe Midwest, South.
Yeah, Midwest South definitely some cultural differences for sure. Um I think with the Midwest, right, we're known for the Minnesota nice, which is just like a nice way of saying passive aggressive to handle
Okay.
situations. But no, everyone is super friendly here. I love the weather. Winter especially, I was like, wow, okay, like I'm just not a snow person. After spending a winter here in Dallas, so I've really enjoyed that as well too. But a lot more diverse here, which is kind of nice, especially too. I didn't share, but I'm half white and half Kenyan. So there's quite a bit of culture here, especially within the African community. So that has also been very nice to be um, ingrained in culture as well too, especially at church and um, as well too.
So it's funny that you actually said that. As soon as you said that,
Yeah.
brought me to like this point. I was like, wow, okay. Um, Talk about being half Kenyan and half American. Have you been to Kenya before?
Yes. So I've been 4 times. My first time was
Okay,
in
pretty.
2006. Yeah. Yep. So I was in sixth grade. So I was about 12. And yeah, what a cultural difference. But
Mm.
I feel like in going to Kenya, I understand why my dad operates the way that he does in just a different nature, and just seeing where he grew up, seeing my grandparents' home, meeting my family, and understanding my roots and like where we come from. And it just gives you a whole nother appreciation for the sacrifices that my dad made coming here. So yeah, yeah, it definitely has
That's
shaped me
pretty
quite. If he could move to Kenya at night, or from Kenya to the US at 19 by himself, the first one in his family, then I could move to Dallas. So yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Do you feel like traveling that young compared to the average, I would say, shape you a different way, or like now you're like more open minded, or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I think definitely traveling that young, and honestly, I think everyone should travel to a different country, right? I think, don't get me wrong, the US has, a lot of great things. And, I am an American, right? But also, too, I think there's more to life than the US. There's so many different cultures. And to see what the beauty for me in Kenya is, that life, like the simple things and the little things are the most important. Like material things don't matter. It's family, it's quality time, it's food, it's, you know, um, just really being ingrained in the simple things, which I think helps me to kind of slow down and really appreciate, like, hey, like you don't need all the bells and whistles all the time, just kind of go back to that. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's amazing.
Mhm.
That's really really cool. Um, have you been anywhere else overseas?
Yes. So I have been to Mexico a handful of times. I wouldn't say that really counts, unfortunately, because it's not like I really like ventured into the city too much. It was more so just like all-inclusive resorts. But definitely I've got quite a laundry list of places that I would like to go. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to cross off a country or two this year.
I love that you said that. We'll get back to that. We will get back to that. But I wanted to get back to you moving to Dallas,
Yeah.
because it seems like that trickled a lot of things for you. Uh,
Yes.
do you have siblings?
I do. I'm the oldest of 7. So,
Okay. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, did that make it harder to move away, or is it kind of like, um, especially being the oldest, it's kind of like taking a break, or like, I don't know, appreciating your family in a whole different way now because you are away from them?
Yeah, definitely. So that was like the main factor why I didn't want to move, because I am the oldest and because I am the glue to the family. I'm what they call the family manager. Oldest daughter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So with that being said, I'm just very involved in my siblings' life, and so to leave was a very tough decision. But I also too was like, hey, this is going to show them too that they can, you know, put their mind to anything that they want to do. So if they want to move somewhere and go to college somewhere else, or if they want to, live in a different country, that if Taylor can leave Minnesota, they can too. And it's only a 2-hour flight, so it's not too horrible. As well as, I mean, thankfully for FaceTime, that has just helped so much. Just making
About it.
to stay, connected and
Hmm.
check in on the kids. But yes, so that was definitely like really, really hard. Most of my family lives in Minnesota on both my mom and my dad's side. And just with like my grandparents getting older, that was like also a tough decision as well too. My mom's parents, I'm pretty close with them as well. So, but again, I also think this move really pushed me to like, hey, like you need to do what makes you happy. Like we can't live for everybody else, and like what's going to satisfy my family, right? If you ask them, they would want me to move back in a heartbeat. And, my
That's
dad will always casually ask, like, so you ready to move back?
yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
So moving away like that, obviously, you're by yourself. Most of your family is away.
Hmm.
It seems. How do you wellness is a big thing for me, especially if you're by yourself. Seems
Yeah.
like you are into many things, and I want to tap into all of that. I mean, I've seen fitness, yoga, good food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about that.
Definitely a busybody. I like to always be on the go. But I will say with this move, it's really pushed me to branch out and meet new people as well too. With that, ClassPass has been really great for me to try different yoga studios. I really enjoyed going to O2. That's right off of Katy. I love right off of Katy Trail, and then Katy Trail is like a big staple for me walking quite a bit as well. Eve, it's a women-owned Pilates studio, floor mat Pilates studio that I really enjoyed going to as well, and have
Good for you.
connected with some instructors there.
That's
And I really enjoyed that, and I've actually really been able to dive into cooking. One of my non-negotiables with moving was I had a sizable like kitchen for space and just to really dive into because cooking is definitely my therapy. So it's been really fun cooking in my
cool.
apartment as well too.
All right. You're I promise you I'm not doing this on purpose. You're literally like saying stuff and I'm like, oh, good thing.
Yeah.
Cooking is your therapy. That's
Mhm.
interesting to me. Um, why, how?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I was a operations manager at TJ Maxx, and so when our stores were closed, I was living alone, and for someone who's extroverted, that was very tough. And so honestly, the only things that were really open were the grocery stores, and so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do today? And I was like, all right, scrolling on Pinterest, and I'm like, okay, well, why don't I just like pick a recipe, go grab some groceries, and it'll get me out, and then um I ended up just really like diving into that and trying different recipes. And I was like, oh, okay, like I actually really enjoy this. And
Mm,
that's kind of where it all started. And then I got really into hosting as well too. And then I would just kind of like post as I was cooking and just making like little videos. And people were like, okay, wait, what's that? That looks really good. Like, wait, those
mhm.
are lamb chops? And like, what did you put on them? And so again, I wasn't really thinking anything of it. I just was kind of like, hey, like this is my way to like tap into my creativity and just like release the anxiety and stress of living alone during a pandemic. But yeah, I really, really found a love for cooking through that.
That's pretty cool. Now,
Mhm.
hmm, being from Kenya, I
Mhm.
mean, food,
Yeah.
I mean, talk about that. Do
Yeah,
you have any
definitely.
favorite?
Favorite Kenyan dishes? So that's something I really want to practice on this year is making Kenyan meals.
Mm,
It's not that I can't do it. African meals take some time. So
you're about to say comfort food?
yeah, you're like, when is the next meal?
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, no, definitely. I love like a good staple of like a chicken stew, a beef stew, goat stew. Um, yes, yeah. I would say Kenyan food is more flavorful and less heat. Whereas like a
Okay.
lot of like West African dishes are like
Yeah.
more focused on heat. So,
Okay.
but yeah, our jollof is pilau, so I definitely love. Um,
Do y'all have fufu too?
so we have ugali, which is like fufu,
Okay.
but it's made of
Okay.
cornmeal. So it's a little bit different texture, but still same purpose. Put it together with some greens or some
Yeah.
kachumbari and meat, and then yeah. So our suya is yamachoma. It's just salted grilled meat. So, but
Okay.
yeah.
It's
Hmm.
pretty cool.
Hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then besides that, if you say you love learning recipes and stuff like that, like
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know, do you have any culture like maybe like Japanese with the Cantonese rice or like I don't know, Spanish rice or whatever it may be? Is there something that
I
you like
definitely
to tap into?
I would like to tap into more Mexican dishes because my
Is it
grandma's
Texas?
actually half Mexican, half Norwegian. So I
Oh
would
whoa.
like to,
Whoa. Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I would like to tap more into that because I love Mexican food, and again, being part of my culture as well too, that would be cool. So, but have not tapped into that too much.
So I will admit, live, I thought I was ready, and then so wow, interesting. So talk about that side of you then. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
now you've been in Texas, and I
Hmm.
mean, wow, interesting.
Hmm.
What about that side of you?
Yeah, so I will say, my grandma hasn't shared like too much, or I would say she's not as ingrained on that side. I
Mhm.
know that her dad, definitely spoke Spanish in the home, but she was not a Spanish speaking, um, woman. But funny enough, my great grandma, who was Norwegian, she could speak Spanish fluently. She had to learn really quickly with her husband being, Mexican, but which
Yeah.
I think is just so cool, right? That cultures can blend. And especially back then when interracial, relationships and marriages were very frowned upon. So, um, which again, I think we can even talk to about that today, that there's still um some issues with that in culture too, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So, um, being from here, from Kenya, having some Mexico,
Mhm.
having a lot of siblings,
Yeah.
how was it growing up? Especially you being the lead, like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
leading by example and all of that. And how's that? Pressure, no pressure, fun?
Mm. I I had to grow up very quickly. I will say that. Um
Hmm.
my parents, unfortunately, just due to being married young,
Yeah.
due to in the 90s, again,
Hmm.
interracial relationships were very frowned upon, and they dealt with quite a bit of racism and discrimination. And um, to add that layer onto being married at a young age, and I feel like, in the generation that my parents grew up in, it was children were to be seen and not heard, right? So their feelings and emotions were suppressed. It was, you don't talk about your feelings and you sweep things under the rug. And so I think if my parents, were a little bit older and had more of the emotional capacity and intelligence to really name the emotion, talk through the emotion, as well as the support from more family and friends, I think that would have helped their marriage quite a bit. But with that being said, at a young age, I kind of had to grow up very quickly with just my parents getting divorced and kind of making, I was almost kind of the in the middle of it because I was the oldest, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I understood more of what was going on, and it was tough because it was like I, wanted to make sure that my siblings were okay, right? Because it's a big transition. And also, too, when my dad got remarried and blending our families together, I was pretty instrumental in that as well, too. Not only with like me trying to process, my dad getting remarried, having kids again, but also too, making sure that my brother and sister, that we're ingraining with our, younger half of siblings as well too, because we've got quite an age gap. I mean, I'm 30, and my youngest sibling, my little brother, is 7, the youngest brother.
Wow.
So we've got quite an
You're
age gap.
like you're like mama too.
Yes, yeah, my 2 youngest siblings, my kids. Yeah,
Oh my.
I call all my siblings my kids. So if you ask all of them, they're like, "Oh yeah, she thinks she's the
That
boss."
that I mean that's amazing though. I mean it's cool. It's
Yeah,
amazing. Carrying those values and whatnot
yeah, definitely.
different way.
Yeah, I think I just value family, it's so important, right? And especially being the oldest, I want to make sure that I am, keeping everybody together and
Mhm.
being the glue. Obviously families aren't perfect, right? But I think the moral of the story is, at the end of the day, like, we all love and care about each other. So that's the most important thing.
That's amazing. That's really amazing.
Thank you.
Um, so I saw that. obviously going through therapy and then sharing
Yeah.
the journey.
Yeah.
How how is that? How is that journey for you? Why sharing that? How did that came about?
Yeah. So kind of segueing into what I was talking about, my parents got divorced when I was 5. So I started they had like a banana splits class
Mm.
in elementary school to help kids that were navigating, growing up in a divorced parent household. So that was like around the first time that I kind of was in like a therapy environment, and then kind of did that for a little bit, and then high school came around, and I think with, being a teenager, going through puberty, emotions, like, all this stuff that you're not used to, right? And I was playing competitive sports as well too, so pressures with that, I think, just, um and I was starting to understand more things that transpired between my parents' marriage, being older, and so that was a lot to process too.
Mm.
So I started seeing a therapist again in high school, and really enjoyed her. But I feel like again, it was more so just kind of talking about my feelings, but not really like understanding the emotion and then learning how to heal from that. Where I think the last 4 years with my current therapist, Siobhan, she has really, pushed me and taught me to, okay, we're going to start from your childhood again. We're going to work through that. And then we're going to talk about, how to heal from that and how to help regulate your emotions as well, too, which was huge because, again, growing up, there was my parents didn't have the tools to help me self-regulate my emotions, and that's to no fault of their own, right? But so just learning how to do that, learning what healthy relationships look like, and unlearning patterns of what I thought, was a healthy relationship as well too. So uh Siobhan has changed my life. She's just really helped me to understand why I was wired the way I'm wired, and that also too, that can be a part of my journey, but that doesn't need to be the product of like the woman I want to be right now, let alone as a partner or potentially as a mom as well too in the future, which are my goals as well too. So yeah.
Wow, we're gonna tap into that. That's interesting.
Mhm.
I believe when I was on your page, I saw you talked about forgiveness.
Yes.
That's, I mean, we talking about getting mad,
Hmm.
cry, screaming,
Yeah.
but then when all is said and done, forgiveness,
Yeah.
that may be the hardest part.
Very hard. And also too, it is so freeing when you
Mhm.
do forgive. Um, I think with maturity, and again with just like speaking with my therapist and sharing, a lot of hurt that I had from my childhood and things that transpired with my parents, and understanding that, hey, like, we put these, we think our parents are superheroes, right? When we're kids, and that they're perfect and that they don't make any mistakes. And they're humans as well, too. They have childhoods as well, too. And they're doing the best that they can with what they know, right? There's no handbook. You can read all the books about parenting, right? But again, it's going to be very trial and error. Every kid is different. And so I think learning to understand why my parents were wired that the way that they are, and the decisions that they made, and talking through with them too on the decisions that they made, and knowing that, hey, like, it's okay, like, that doesn't define them as, a woman or a man, and that my parents, they sacrificed so much for my siblings and I. So to be able to forgive them for things that I didn't understand or felt, really hurt and betrayed by, was very freeing for sure.
It's good to hear. It's
Hmm.
really good to hear because you would imagine a lot of people go through that. So, um, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I will say, like, everyone's situation is different with their parents, right? So I understand that for some people, there might be some things that might be unforgivable. So I won't sit on this platform and say that you need to forgive your parents, right? But I think specifically in my situation, for me to heal and for me to move forward and for me to elevate myself as a woman eventually to again become a partner and to become a mother, I had to forgive my parents.
This is great. Is there such a thing as, I mean, something being unforgivable?
Mm,
Or do you feel like time could be the best answer to that question? What's your take on that?
that's a tough question because, again, I think there's some situations that are unforgivable, and who am I to decide what hurt is forgivable and what hurt isn't? And for me, I think you just have to go based off of, I'm very based in my faith, and I know that God has forgiven my sins, and that in order to be a happy, healthy, devout Christian, I have to practice forgiveness. And I found for me, I feel so much lighter and
Mhm.
also, feel like I am learning to not only forgive others, but I have to learn to forgive myself as well too, which I think sometimes can almost be harder.
That's a good
So,
one.
mhm.
I like it. Um, I like it a lot. Let's switch to something a little, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Beside obviously the wellness part,
Yeah. Yeah.
things to do in Dallas that you've discovered.
So I am a big foodie. I will have the
Yep.
long restaurant list in my phone.
Uh-huh.
I have one for Minneapolis and one for Dallas, so that's been fun to try new restaurants.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, like I want to get really more into travel as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love home decor, so I've been really enjoying. That's kind of been my hobby, and maybe where I like to spend my money is decorating. And,
Yeah.
just really make my home safe and cozy and just a well decorated place. So yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Now, promise we will get back to this event and love for travel. So, my question for you, and then we're gonna get back to what you said. And I love to ask that to every single guest. If you could go anywhere in this beautiful world,
Mm,
say top five, where would you go?
Ghana,
Okay. Okay.
Italy.
Uh huh.
Um,
Why Ghana?
I have just always wanted to go. Like
Okay.
I have some Ghanaian friends and
Yeah.
I love the food as well too. So um and one of my good guy friends also lives over there. So he's just for years we've been talking about me like going over there and visiting and I think it's a beautiful country and beautiful culture. So would love to visit there. Italy definitely would love to go there, especially for the food. Um, my dream
Are you into
wedding would
fashion?
be sorry, go ahead.
Ooh, your dream wedding? No, go ahead. Go ahead. That sounds better. Okay. Great.
But yeah.
That's awesome. Are you into fashion?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I for a little bit and maybe I don't know, every once in a while I'll do like an OOTD on
Mhm.
Instagram. I really like to share my outfits because I don't think it's about the brand that you wear necessarily. I think it's how you put it together, right? And
Or
people would ask me like, "Oh my gosh, your outfit's so cute. Where'd you get
yeah.
this?" And then when they would see like, "Oh, she's tagging all this stuff and it's from Target, it's from Express, it's from Zara." Like
Hmm.
none of these designer per se, right? Or
Yeah.
Abercrombie and Fitch that you don't have to spend a lot of money to dress stylish. And so I think that that's been fun as well too to kind of share, how to put things together, whether it's business casual or going out for a girls' night or a birthday dinner, you
Hmm.
know. So
Okay. We
yeah.
can. I mean, That's good. I was wondering when you say Italy, I was like, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's two. And then okay, what's three, four, and five?
South Africa. I've had quite a few friends visit there, and they're like, it was just such a beautiful country, great
Yes.
culture. Um, where else have I wanted to go? I think hmm, Spain. Spain would be,
Yeah.
yeah, Spain. And then I also think it would be cool to go to Germany. So kind of like a weird fun fact, I find um I love watching like documentaries, especially like biographical or like historical documentaries, and I find like World War II and like Holocaust to be very intriguing. So I'd love to go to Germany and just be able to learn more about that, and also to my culture as well. So my mom's dad is 100% German, so kind of tap into that side as well too.
That's
So,
amazing.
mhm.
Wow, new fact.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. That's pretty cool.
German, Norwegian, and Mexican. Yeah.
Wow. The world is your oyster.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's good though. That's really great. Now you said you wanted to get more into traveling and whatnot. What do you have on your mind when it comes to that? Road trip,
Mm.
cruises. What does that look like?
I wish I could be a road trip gal, but like I am a good 3 to 4 hours max. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of pushing it. I would rather get in a plane. Get in a plane. Where do I need to go?
Mhm.
Um, as far as I guess to your point of just visiting countries, trying food. I would love to like take a cooking class in Italy. I would love to, um, I have been to the safari in Kenya, but I think it would be cool to, have a different experience in maybe like South Africa, or, to go to the museums in Ghana and see, where all the slaves, like most of the slaves were taken. From Ghana as well too, and just see the history in that. And so I think it's just, again, I'm willing to see and try everything. So,
That's pretty cool.
hmm,
Um, and then you're talking about South Africa as well. That
yeah.
would be perfect.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, now we actually getting to, I guess, why you here.
Yeah.
Um, why becoming an influencer? Why,
I
like,
feel like I just kind of fell into it. Like I think during the pandemic when I was creating videos and just really diving into the cooking piece, and people were asking me, hey, like, where did you get that? Like, what did you put there? Like, that looks really good. And I got really into the plating and presentational piece of it. And then I would start posting my outfits, and then people would ask about that. Or, when it came to home decor, people were like, wow, like, how did you put this and this together? Like, where is it from? And so I think, again, just me organically sharing about myself just kind of fell into, oh, wait, this is content. Wait, this is lifestyle content, and that's kind of where that came from. So,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
How long have you been doing that for? Or are you just getting started? Or
I would say I'm just getting started. Especially this past year, I've just been wanting to get comfortable with posting, especially like showing myself and sharing a little bit about who I am and my journey. But I definitely want to, dive in a little bit deeper and figure out what my niche is, and figure out consistently what kind of content that I would like to post. I think right now I'm just kind of posting anything and everything that feels organic to me, which I don't think is a bad thing, right? But also to, in order to create my brand and attract other brands or agencies, that's going to be tapping into more of a niche as well too. So,
okay, I
yeah.
like that. That's pretty cool. Then that leads me to this point right here.
Mm. Hmm.
When you see resilience, what does it mean to you? Like, what does it bring in your mind? Tell me more about it. Or have you even experienced it?
Yes. To me, resilience, and one of my mentors, she says this mantra: I can do hard things. And I think for me, that's just reminding myself that sometimes the best things in life don't always come easy. That sounds super cliche,
Yeah.
but and to not put a cap onto your dreams and what you can achieve. From little Taylor that grew up in Burnsville, Minnesota, growing up in a single parent household, um, on a tight budget. I never thought I would be moving to Dallas, living alone in a nice apartment, decorated, and being able to travel and go to nice restaurants and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think resilience is just knowing that you can do hard things.
That's amazing. I love bringing that point up every single time. Just hearing how people
Hmm.
that I think it's important to share.
Yeah.
And then on that note, what advice would you give to, I don't know, a young 18-year-old lady getting up high school trying to, attack this world, whether it's through college or whatever the case may be?
Yes. To me, I think give yourself grace. I think
Mm,
that's huge because I think society expects, and we're working on it, right? It's getting better. But
sure.
back then, when I was growing up, it was like you had to go to university
Yeah.
and um, you had to get a 4-year degree. And then it was, you need to get married and have kids right away. Where I feel like that trajectory is not as forced as it used to be, if that
Mm,
makes sense. And so knowing that, your teens and your 20s are for you to get to know who you are and fail and make mistakes, and knowing that failing is not the end of the world, and that you don't have to be married by 25. You don't have to have all your kids by 30, and that your journey might be different than someone else's. And the thief of comparison can be very tough, especially in your 20s, because you're going to have some of your friends, and I'm, still going through this right now, where I have some friends that are on their third kid, second or third kid, where and married, where, I'm in my single season, and, I'm just making sure that I make my bed every day. So, like there's definitely like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
knowing to find the joy in your journey and the grace in your journey, and do not compare yourself to everybody else.
Thief of joy.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's some good advice. That's some good advice. Funny thing, I just wanted to come back to
Mhm.
yoga.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
how do you do that? I mean, I thought it was easy. I think I took a yoga class back in my college days.
Mhm.
My goodness.
Yeah, I think yoga, honestly, everyone should do it. There's so many different types and levels to it, right? Like there's some classes where I take that's like a candlelight yoga, where it's just more like light stretching, not as much where like yoga sculpt, where those classes, yeah, you're gonna get a sweat in.
Yeah.
You might be using weights, or to that extent where that might push you a little bit farther. But our body holds, and I'm learning through this journey, right, with not only therapy but in doing yoga practice as well too. Our bodies hold so much emotion, and I've noticed in the practice of yoga, it is such a great um, vehicle for you to let that emotion go, whether it's in the sweat, or our bodies hold just so much stress in places that we don't think, right? And so I think yoga is a beautiful practice for people to really calm the mind and to move your body, no matter what age, or what flexibility you are.
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
That's right. That's great. So I wonder, people wonder,
Yeah.
we are wondering, what's next? What's next for you? What's coming up? Obviously, you're just getting started, like you said, but it seems like maybe not, you do not know your niche yet, but you kind of know where
Mhm.
you, so talk about that.
Yeah, I think what's next for me is going to be really sitting down, like you said, to your point, is diving into what my niche is. And if that is lifestyle content, what kind of content do I want to set? What consistency do I want to bring? Certain days? Is it like, you know, setting up a calendar and like trying cooking products this week, or maybe it's home decor the next week? And, figuring out what I want to still be organic, right? But I also want to bring that piece of consistency with that. So I'm very thankful. I've got quite a network here in Dallas and friends. Some of my close friends are also influencers here as well too. So they've definitely given me some good guidance. And one of my girlfriends, she was like, "Hey, like whenever you're ready, like I'll sit with you and like talk with you about editing." Because I think that's probably my biggest um, maybe not setback, but makes me kind of get a little bit anxious about posting is I am not very tech savvy. I'm not gonna lie, CapCut really comes through for me, and I just plug and play. Exactly, exactly. And so
Yeah.
I want to like elevate that and like not just rely on that and really learn how to edit and just create content that is a little bit more elevated. So,
So, first of all,
mhm.
obviously, I believe this is where we can get all your content.
Yes.
So for people to tune in and then follow your journey or whatnot, this is where everything happened and the magic will happen.
Mhm.
But it could be a vague question right now for you, but where do you see this going for yourself, for your journey as an influencer? Do you, um, just being an influencer, or are you looking into becoming, I don't know, a business owner, or venture into different things? Some people have different dreams on their mind. So, um, do you have anything of that nature on your
I
mind?
do. I do. I
Okay.
definitely have some dreams for sure. I would love to write an ebook on recipes. So, like, I want to have it be catered. Okay.
We back.
Okay, sorry, back to your question. Yeah, so with that being said, I really want to dive into an ebook and
Okay.
talk through my recipes and just have it for, followers to be able to, because a lot of times people will message and, hey, like, what did you put this, and this? And I also need to get better because I think, just growing up in an African household, there is no measurements, right? Like it is just like
It's all
you put
feel.
a bit of this, you put a little bit of this. And I need to definitely tweak some things and um, figure out, measurements for recipes. I think it would be really cool to have a wellness line, especially being a woman of color. That's comparable to Lulu or Aloe. Like I feel like there's not as much representation with women of color in the um, wellness industry when it comes to athletic wear and athleisure. So I would really like to tap into that as well. I've got quite some other things. Definitely a cookbook. I noticed a lot in Target that there's not a lot of women of color or people of color that have their cookbooks in Target. So that's something that I've always wanted to do. A mocktail. I just have a lot of things that I'm like,
Wow. Okay.
okay,
That's
but
great.
we're gonna
Yeah.
all in due time. All in due time. So.
So when you say all of that, it brings me to one question though, because obviously, um, all this of seven, and then wanting to, be in a representation for minorities and things of that nature. But
Mhm.
who inspired you?
Mhm.
Or
Agreed. Emma Grady, she is one of my like all-time like idols, and I just think she is such a power force in the business industry, especially just giving the platform for so many different people to,
Yeah.
share their ideas and businesses and make them come to or help it bring the vision and come to life. And
Yeah.
I love the fact that not only is she an excellent businesswoman, but she is a mother and she does such a great job of balancing that as well as being a wife. And that's a dream of mine as well too, is to have a family. And she really showed me that you can do it all. You can do it
Wow.
all. Hmm.
That's, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That's really,
Hmm.
really cool. So we getting to the interesting part. Um, First of all, do you have anything you want to share? Something that we should know about you? The floor is yours.
I don't think so. I feel like everything that we've covered has been all the questions that I was like, okay, this is what I want to make sure that I like share and talk about.
Yeah.
So we've talked about quite a bit today. I'm shocked how much we talked about.
You did, you did, you did,
Yeah, shared a lot of different topics.
you
So
did. That's good. That's good. So the concept of my show is kind of simple, and I love to do it with like every single guest,
yeah.
to keep the quote unquote dream going. Um,
Hmm.
do you have one or two or whatever the case may be? It could be someone that you know, a couple of people who would be great for the show. But here's the thing:
Mm,
you have to help us get them on here. That's the thing now. No pressure.
yeah.
You don't have to
Yeah.
say it live or whatnot. We can talk about it
Okay.
off camera, but
For sure.
kind of the concept of it, to
Okay.
kind of keep the dream going.
Popcorn. Popcorn.
Hmm.
Who's next? Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely have some people in mind.
And then keep these peeps on their toes as well. But
Mhm.
yeah. But other than that, Taylor, this was great. This was
Yeah,
great. It was.
Yana, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your platform. And I feel like, you gave me the floor to really talk about who I am and my journey and all different facets of life. And I look forward to sharing this piece. And yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
definitely.